Hey everyone, it's Sleepy Reader, aka Damien, and I am here with a AOK unboxing, I guess, and unpackaging from the mighty KomicKrakk, and also I'm going to do a bit of a haul from a little store I went to in Connecticut while I was visiting my mom. In fact, when I came home from visiting my mom, I found I had a package from Terence, the mighty KomicKrakk, that came all the way from Canada. I guess he got here pretty quick. But then I decided I wanted to open it while shooting a video. So I opened the package, but you can see here is the packed up top, bottom, and top marked package from Terence. I have some inkling about what the contents might be because of what we've been discussing recently on some of the live hangouts. And in fact, there'll be a live hangout on this channel tomorrow, Sunday, November 20th at noon my time, which would be 3 p.m. East Coast time, and various other times wherever you are. Ross will be here, and it'll be like 8 o'clock at night her time. And who knows, maybe we'll have some other special guests pop in, but it'll at least be me, Rasa, and Terence. So anyway, let me kind of unopen this. He used the painter's tape. He did the clever thing of where you fold over the ends so that it's easy to pull right off, which is brilliant. He's a pro. And let's see. I think there's more layers of tape. But I can see Yummy Fur, which is kind of what I was expecting. We were talking a lot about Yummy Fur, and suddenly he says, hey, I'm sending you a package. Don't run out and buy any Yummy Fur quite yet. So I assume that at least some of these will be Yummy Fur, and it will. I've only got one, possibly two issues of Yummy Fur in my collection. I think only the one, because I'm pretty sure I mostly read Chester Brown in trades back in the 90s. So, and having read one issue of Yummy Fur that I found at my shop, I was feeling like it reads really well in individual issues, and I was eager to collect the individual issues the same way Terence is doing. But he, I think, found a mother load of them somewhere. So let's see. We've got we got them multiply packaged. Looks like 3 in this bag. I'm going to remove the tape. And I guess Yummy Fur, I didn't even realize Yummy Fur started since the early 80s, I believe, from Vortex. And this is, this is issue number 1. It looks like it's signed 1983. Wow, that's super exciting, issue number 1. The one issue I did find was not super expensive, but I don't think it was nearly as inexpensive as Terence was finding it. But I don't know when or if I would find issue number 1. So look at that. Definitely a chance to watch Chester's art evolve, although his art is obviously really good here. He just changed his style a bit as he went along, I think. Maybe subtracting stuff. There's Ed the Happy Clown. So yeah, wow, this is really exciting. So I guess I'm glad I waited to do it on camera. Really appreciate this, Terence. So what have we got here? Number 3. Interesting cover. Crime and Punishment with Ed the Happy Clown. Here's an ad for Mr. X that was also coming out for Vortex. That was a color comic. This is a black and white one. I think, well, I don't know. I'd have to experience Chester Brown in color, but I like the black and white. Very cool. So this is number 3. Number 1 was from 83. This one's from 87. Let's see, or are these reprints perhaps? Yeah, because this one lists as 86, but the cover signature is 83. But I thought these were completely comics of the 90s. I did not know how early Chester Brown started out. That's an awesome cover. Don't shoot! Adults only. Number 5. Wow, this is a fantastic starter set for me, or maybe more than just a starter set. Number 5 is from 1987 also. You can see the art becoming more fluid here, still sort of more maximalist detail than I think of with Chester Brown, but we'll see. Really cool looking characters. I love these distortions. Back by popular command. Let's see. Wait. First issue, haha, just kidding. They caught me. It's the 15th issue there. Right there. I should be paying attention that all this stays in camera. I've been looking down the whole time, and you guys might not be seeing what I'm seeing. Okay, Naughty Bits by Roberta Gregory. That art looks familiar, but I don't recall the name Roberta Gregory. UMF 103 Dead Air. That's Terrence's radio show, which I've only caught live once or twice. I need to work harder at that. That's weird. I can't figure out where how to get close to the camera. Okay, that looks like one of Terrence's drawings there, too. Naughty Bits. Oh, that's interesting, the way she is holding open the cover there for us. Okay, well, this will definitely be... Oh, it looks quite naughty. So this will be a learning experience for me. Ew. Okay. More Yummy Fur. Yummy Fur number 13. Yummy Fur number 11. Wow, that's a really cool cover. Love that layout. Be interesting to see, as I know he does interesting things with layouts. Here it's very standard kind of paneling. So this one that freaked me out, thinking it was another number 1, is number 15. This is incredible. This is a treasure trove for me. I have no excuses not to read Yummy Fur now. So 15, 17, 21, and a nice long run. 22 with an ad for Dirty Plot on the back. Oh, I think these are just comics that that Chester is recommending to us. Dirty Plot number 1. He was recommending her right at the beginning. This is a double for me. This is the issue I found recently, number 25. I love that cover. And, oh, there's some simplicity. Number 26. Some saltine crackers. Used to be a big part of my diet once upon a time. Yahoo! Air Power Through Victory, number 4, by Joe Sacco. Okay. You know, I was only ever aware of Joe Sacco in the occasional anthology and then in his finished products. So I was not aware that he had his own floppy. So this is very cool. When I need a dose of reality. Wow, look at those images. Okay, I'm going to open up a few more Yummy Furs just to see. It's going heavier on the blacks later in his artistic career. That was issue 15, 17. Let's see. Always with the Bible stories. Because he's been doing that a long time, which I did not realize. There we go with the kind of layouts that I associate with Chester Brown now, with the large black page and the panels that move kind of freely across the page, which gives them a different kind of emotional weight, I think. And I think this is his Jesus, who is very bald, which I think is interesting. 22. Yeah, more of those. Now he's really comfortable with lots of heavy black. This is from the Playboy, which I read back in the 90s in a trade. And so this is the most elderly or further along in the series issue. At a glance, this might be part of I Never Liked You. I'm not sure. Nice. Okay, so while I'm here, I was in Connecticut visiting my mom, and she lives in the general area where I grew up, or part of my growing up, since we moved around a lot. But in what would you call it? Coastal central Connecticut. I mean, but we lived in towns that were about 10 miles away from the coast, and very rural. No sidewalks anywhere, no street lights. Usually just maybe a gas station and a store, like a small convenience store type of thing. The country store, in fact, it was called when I was a kid. We had to drive 2 towns away just to get to a drugstore that had comics. Anyway, in the middle of nowhere, there was a little commercial spot, and it now has a comic book store in it. And the comic book store was in a state of chaos. And I talked to the owner, and he's planning to fix it all. He just has it open on the weekends. He's a local businessman, and he owns the property, the commercial property, and so he has a little corner of it that he uses for his comic book store, which he'll organize someday. So it's just enormous amounts of comics strewn all over the place. I mean, they were in boxes, but there were these display things for customers to look through, but then there were boxes of comics on top of them, and you had to move things just to look around. And but I had a really fun time chatting with him, so I did my best to sort of search through and just find some interesting things for me. So I found this Dark Horse series called Tongue Lash. This character is the tongue and she's the lash, and they are detectives of a sort in a weird alternate world that comes out of Aztec cultures, I believe. And it's very sexual in S&M, and it's very looks very Mobius-like. The artist is David Taylor, who I think is maybe a British artist, and I want to look for more of his work. I don't know if it always looks so Mobius. And there are also moments where he looks like Manera art. So it's a very sensual and kinky kind of story. I found it enjoyable. And it's they specifically say inspired by the works of Jean Mobius Girard, and the writers are the translators of Mobius into English back for Marvel in the 80s. So anyway, I already read this. It was really good. I might talk about it more with Rasa and Terence. I picked up a DC Superstars, Dead Man, and the Phantom Stranger, two of the really fun supernatural characters of the old DC. I believe this one is Jim Aparo art. I can't remember where the credits are. I think there was credits somewhere. But it's 2 different. Maybe it's not Jim Aparo. Now I can't remember. Somewhere there's credits, but I think there's 2 different writers. It's actually different interweaving of stories between the Phantom Stranger and Dead Man. And then he had some Lois Lanes. Some of his prices were what I'd call a little optimistic, but there's no other comic book store for 80 miles near him. So I guess he can do a little higher prices than you would find around here. And they weren't that much higher, and then he gave me a discount, sort of just without even telling me. He added it all up, and when I got back, oh, look at that. When I got back to my mom's house and added it all up, I realized I got about $30 off what would have been his price. So we got some Lois Lane near the end of the run, written by Carrie Bates. John Rossenberger and Vince Coletta are the artists. I'm not familiar with them. And here's more the classical Lois Lane. This one was cheap because some kid had blacked out Superman's face. I wish I knew what that kid was thinking. But this is the era of Lois Lane. It looks like Kurt Schaffenberger or maybe Jim Mooney drew this. I'll have to look that up. Actually, it looks quite Jim Mooney-ish to me. Another one from that classic era. The 12-cent era of Lois Lane, I think, is the best stuff. And here's one back in the 70s Lois Lane, shortly before she was canceled. That's kind of a cool cover. It looks like a Ross Andrew cover, I'd say. And inside are their credits. Cary Bates, John Rossenberger, and Vince Colletta. So, and then I was very happy to find I said some of his prices were optimistic, but he had very good prices on the Cheval Noir. And so I got all the ones there that I didn't already have. I'm not sure. I think now I want to collect all of Cheval Noir. I think I have issues 1-4 plus these. This is issue 40, and this is issue 37. There's Mobius stories in here. They always just give you a few pages of Mobius, but a lot of other interesting stuff too. Cheval Noir was, Dark Horse. Cheval is horse, Noir is black, so it's kind of Dark Horse in French. And it was mostly or entirely translated black and white comics. And this is an extra thick issue, number 26, and it's got this incredible cover by Mobius. But unfortunately, when I unbagged it, and I unbagged all of these because the bags, I figured I would replace the bags. There's a ripple that goes throughout the cover. And it did on the price, like the price was very low and there's a little sticker and it said wrinkled or something like that. It doesn't feel like normal water damage. The inside doesn't have the wrinkle. I don't know how that got on the cover. That's number 26. Maybe the earlier issues just were much thicker. Here's number 25. I'm not sure if there's Mobius in here, but there's lots of other cool stuff. There's David Lynch. I guess this is a cartoon here by David Lynch, the director, 1991. Elaborate drawings. That's very cool looking stuff. It looks like the guy, what's his name? But it's Comes, the artist, but it reminds me of another artist whose name is slipping by me at the moment with the camera on. Okay, so that was really cool. I got 4 issues of Cheval Noir there, and I got a bunch of old Hulk, kind of beat up but readable, and that's what really matters to me. Herb Trimpe era Hulk, and it's written by Roy Thomas or Steve Englehart. This is a Steve Englehart issue. They're really good, and I feel like this was a really good time for Herb Trimpe, and often inked by John Severin, which also is a big plus. I'd like to get all the Steve Englehart issues. In fact, I did not realize Steve Englehart had a run on this till recently. That's a very cool cover. I think this is what Herb Trimpe looks like when he inks himself. And the inker inside here is Sal Buscema, who inks Trimpe to look the way Trimpe looks when he inks it. When inky. I still get a thrill. So for me, this is a 15 center. For me, I started with the 20 centers, and when I could find a 15 center, it was like a blast of some intense past, even though it was probably 2 or 3 years before. And I would get a special thrill, like looking at these posters I couldn't order anymore. We're talking about when I was a kid. I can't order them now either, although I could go on eBay, I guess. And reading about all the other comics and stuff. I spent a lot of time on these. Also, I mean, people at the time probably thought it was a big ripoff to have these half pages to make it look like more pages. But as a kid, again, when I would find these older ones, I thought, oh, that was something special about the older ones, that they had these extended pages. I don't know why I thought that was cool. Wow, look at that monster. That's nice. Nice stuff. Yeah, let's see. A lot of ads. So it was a way of pretending they were still a 20-page comic when it was 19 pages. Cost cutting. You know what? I think it focuses better when I hold it up a little bit. It's weird. Can't get it to focus at the desktop level as well. I think there's one more Hulk in here. Yes, here it is. Also Herb Trimpe with John Severin, at least on the cover. Yeah, on the inside too. Very intense inks from John Severin. I don't know how Herb Trimpe felt about it, if he felt overwhelmed or was happy. And this is Archie Goodwin as the writer, and that might be good stuff too. I don't know as much about Archie Goodwin's run. But Trimpe, in my mind, was a great storyteller, but kind of simplistic. And when you add in a more intense inker, that kind of makes a really interesting combo. Like when Trimpe was inked by, on Machine Man, when he was inked by Barry Smith. That was really cool. So I was really happy to find these. And then this one I paid kind of, the price on this was okay, but then he had issue number 1, and I really wanted to get it. And I was going to go back the next day and get it, even though it was kind of overpriced. Because I would like to have E-Man number 1. I think I have a reprint of it, because they reprinted E-Man a lot. Love Joe Staton's. Oh, look how this is cut wrong. The first 2 pages, 3 or 4 pages, 3 pages I think, are trimmed wrong. Anyway, love Joe Staton's artwork at this time. It seemed like after a while at DC and then Marvel, he went for a more toned down style. So one of those cases where I like the guy's earliest work best. Although he was always a solid guy. It was funny being in Connecticut and finding a Too Much Coffee Man, kind of the hero. That was Shannon Wheeler is a Portland resident, and when I moved here in the 90s, there was like a Too Much Coffee Man free magazine that would appear in coffee shops, supported by ads, back when that was still a thing. But there's been lots of iterations of Too Much Coffee Man, and I was happy to find a cheap copy of that. I think I found another copy on another comic book hunt I went on recently, but I'll cover that later. And then I found a couple of different issues of Concrete from different mini-series of Concrete. I guess I want to collect them all now. And this is unusual. It's color Concrete. Most Concrete is in black and white. So this is from a series called Strange Armor. And this one is from a series called The Human Dilemma. And I really like how it combines, a few and that's kind of phallic there, isn't it? A few fantasy elements with a lot of the feel of real life too. And for me, that's a better way to talk about real life with some fantasy elements in the mix than just plain, mundane drama, I guess, or mundane soap opera. Oh my. Okay, so one more thing. I also found this thing called Demon Knight. I didn't look inside. It said a graphic novel by John Ostrander and Flint Henry. Flint Henry, I think, is a British guy. I feel like maybe his work was in Warrior magazine. I'm not sure. A Grimjack graphic novel. And cool cover. Introduction by Roger Zelazny. So I guess First Comics put out a series of graphic novels. Must have been around the same time Marvel was starting to put out graphic novels. But when I opened it up, I think I really hate the coloring in this. Maybe I can get past that once I start reading it. But I really, really hate the coloring inside this one. It sounds petty, but it makes me not want to read it, just flipping through it. Although the art by itself, if it was colored differently, probably would be extremely cool. Okay, so that's my AOK and haul. Big thanks to Travis. I should edit this. Big thanks to Terence, not Travis. No thanks to Travis this time. None of the three Travises I know. Big thanks to Terence. That was fantastic of you to send those to me. I know shipping is never cheap, and but that's delightful for me because those are really hard comics to find. So I'll talk about comic books with all of you soon. Bye-bye.